What is poppin', people? You got Jay Bear here, bringing you all Shuckle Premier League draft notes, week quarterfinals. Quick disclaimer, I will not have the results because I actually have to record this in advance. I'm doing this pretty much right when the playoff matchups come out because I'm going to be gone all of next week. What that means for you guys is I actually haven't had a chance to watch the Shuckle Premier League games for this week as they're being recorded in advance, so I know the results of everything, but I just don't know how it happened, so I don't want to deliver you guys analysis that's really just very empty. So ultimately I can't deliver the results to you, but what I can deliver to you is the fact that I will be unveiling the playoff matchups. So this will be a nice quick video, but yeah, we can go ahead and unveil the playoff matchups, I guess, just in the standings of the document. This will be your spoiler. So standings revealed in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so the 4 coaches with a bye, sorry I don't have like any graphics for this, are Emil, Mounte, James, and Cybertron. That was not in order, but those 4 have the bye. And then picking, Joey picks first, then Liv, then Viz, then Thatsa. And the pool of coaches that are able to be picked are Shuckle, Moxy, Joe UX9, and Owen. So pretty solid group of coaches. It's kind of hard to make a choice. It's going to be very challenging for coaches that are choosing, just because yeah, it is a very stacked field to choose from. But I guess I will unveil our quick first matchup. Joey got to choose first, and he had a couple of options, but ultimately he decided on the run back versus none other than Joe UX9. You'll see for Joey, I didn't highlight any of his Pokemon. I actually highlighted the Covert Cloak, just trying to rationalize this pick from Joey. Obviously, Joe's a very, very strong player, but this is the only rematch that we will see actually selected, and that is because Joey kind of got hacked by Joe. He also got hacked by Moxy, so I'm curious to see why he picked Joe over Moxy. Maybe he thinks he has a decent matchup, but yeah, Joe took him to 3 games and he got a little bit lucky. So Joey wants a little bit of revenge, it seems, and I highlighted the Covert Cloak just because a lot of it last time was predicated on a Sneasler Dire Claw. So a bit of more thoughtful use around the Covert Cloak, and this could be swung in Joey's favor. And then I will note, in Draft League, I really don't like playing rematches, and I especially don't like playing rematches of games that I won. I think it's very, very challenging to play those games, and I think that's one of the hardest things you can do. So I'm curious to see how Joe chooses to approach this. I'm going to highlight the Sneasler. I believe I highlighted it last time as well, and just even more based on the fact that this was a rematch, and last time Sneasler kind of robbed the game. I see no reason why you don't go for it again. I think the new additions also help a lot. I think Electabuzz, Snorlax both have places in this matchup. Even, potential Perish Trap mode, I don't know how useful it would be, but I think those changes have a lot of merit in this matchup. And I also think Gouging Fire is still really, really good here. Maybe I shouted that guy out last time, but yeah, just like Iron Head, Stabs looks really good here. And like how you potentially do like coaching support with the Sneasler, I think is a great game plan for Joe to execute on. And then on Joey's side, yeah, I just highlighted that Covert Cloak. I think Deancey is a great Pokemon. I think Annihilate's a great Pokemon. I think he has a bunch of different options here. So it's going to be interesting to see how Joey chooses to approach this one. I think he must have something in mind when choosing this rematch. And for that reason, I do lean towards picking Joey in this one. Up next, Liv chose Moxy. And I believe Liv by proxy chose through Hopeless because she was busy. But I trust Hopeless's decision with this one, and we can try to look at it a little bit from the perspective of Liv's team. And I really think that this comes down to Volcanion, Raging Bolt, Metagross looking really, really solid into Moxy's team. I think like a Terra Fairy Volcanion looks really good. Fire, Water, and Fairy really does a number on Moxy's team. You limit the Pecharunt. Hopeless is one of, I believe, the first people who had a chance to use Pecharunt in a VGC Draft League. And so I think Hopeless knows that Mon inside and out. And I know that he's a very active part of the front office. And so I think that that's a really interesting game plan for them to follow. I think Crocodile has a lot of merit here as well. kind of hard, but like it's your best King Gambit answer, so I think it probably finds its way onto the build. Like you need to be Moxy or Mirror Herb. I think those are its two best sets here. If you're obviously intimidating and you intimidate the King Gambit, then you get the Mirror Herb. And it's a bit hard to win the speed battle just because of Iron Bundle being the fastest thing, but it also has to worry a lot about Thunderclap and doesn't really have an easy Terra out of it. So that's on Liv's side, I think, why this matchup was chosen. I think Moxy's best tool here is going to be the King Gambit. I think this Pokemon looks really, really good in this specific matchup. You have to keep in mind, like, watching out for Volcanion. I think that Pokemon's a bit hard to kill, but I think the entire draft feels that way, right? You could potentially consider like an Alolan Raichu mode for that, and then kind of trying to pack up with King Gambit afterwards. The priority Sucker Punches are really nice. The just Kowtow looks really good, and then you have Iron Head for one of the better resists in Alolan Ninetales. And Crocodile doesn't necessarily appreciate that too much either. I think that Terra Dark set looks really, really good. With like Lumberry, Assault Vest, Safety Goggles, all its potential options. I really think Assault Vest is one of the better sets here. Not really good fake out to like, you know, punish your lack of Protect super hard. So I think that, yeah, I think that that is Moxy's best pathway to win this. But I think when Liv chose this matchup and when Hopeless chose this matchup, they chose it for a reason. And so, yeah, I do think Liv will win this one. Up next, we had Viz versus choosing Shuckle. He had Shuckle and Owen left, and ultimately deciding upon Shuckle as to, I believe, avoid the rematch into Owen. I just didn't want to build a rematch, which is very, very fair. And we see in me wanting to shout out Dragapult. That is because Shuckle's team has very few ghost resists. So I think this is one thing that Viz could potentially execute on. It's like a choice banded Terra Ghost Dragapult clicking Terra Blast. I think is very hard for Shuckle to stop. You support it adequately with something like Meowstick and potentially like Araquanid. It looks pretty good at supporting this build. Water plus Bug actually looks pretty solid, especially when Water's the strong move. And yeah, I think that leads to a pretty good setup for Viz. I think that's a great reason to choose this matchup. On Shuckle's side, I think his best pass through is this Landorus. I think just ground plus, you know, like a Rock Slide or a Stone Edge for the Araquanid looks really, really good into the build that Viz has on this draft. And like Rock Slide can pop Mega as well, or Stone Edge. And then just clicking ground moves from there and using your partners to be immunities, your Latias, your Talonflame. I think that's a great game plan for Shuckle to go with, is trying to click Earthquake. We'll see how that actually executes, but I think in my mind that is Shuckle's best way of winning. But I still really think Viz has a very solid chance, just because also his Trick Room mode, I think that's another really important aspect in this matchup, and kind of, you know, punishes Shuckle if he leans super hard into Tailwind. So I do really like Viz and what he cooked up here. I think that I will be leaning Viz in this one. And then we only have one more quarterfinal matchup, and that's Owen versus Thatsa. The sides are switched. Thatsa was the higher seed. Only had one choice remaining, and that will be Owen. And on Owen's side, I really like this Azumarill. Play Rough hits the squad like really, really hard. And then the only resistance is Magmortar. Magmortar just gets liquidated on. The only way to stop that is Gastrodon. Gastrodon can potentially be annoying, but when Play Rough is such a free click, I think that that's not too much of a worry. I think he has some other potentially interesting sets to contend with, like Chien-Pao. I think Dragonite. I think Ogerpon could potentially be good because that Pokemon can even outspeed something that is set up by like a Tailwind Whimsicott. I think that's another really, really solid option. I think Thundurus looks pretty interesting here, but I don't know how good it would be. Scrafty I think is important because it's the sole Terrakion resist. Rock, at least. It doesn't resist Terrakion, but like you'll see actually on that side, I really like the Terrakion matchup. I think it worked out really, really well for him. I think of the potential coaches, I think Owen probably would have been the matchup that he picked. So it works out really, really well that Owen was the one left for Thatsa. I do think I do favor Thatsa in this one, just because like Whimsicott Terrakion looks very, very hard to guard from in this matchup, and I think otherwise you could see potentially like Regidrago also looks pretty decent, Zoroark looks okay, but I think like Whimsicott Terrakion looks insane, and then I think like Magmortar for the Follow Me support and Will-O-Wisp looks really good, and then like Gastrodon to support the Magmortar. I think that's a solid core to build around, and that's why I do favor Thatsa in this one. Thank you guys all for watching this one. I know it's a nice and quick one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. And yeah, I think this is really, really hype because we actually did just unveil the playoff matchups unless Shuckle does it first. But yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed. And with that being said, until next time, J Bear out. Peace.